Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. Hey CEO Yort, how are you?
Yeah, it's Friday, so that means the weekend starts.
Yeah,
The
I
weekend
think
starts means yeah, go ahead.
I made the mistake again of sharing the timer without sharing the audio, so no one got to hear the commercial. But the
No,
commercial's up on the. I did, didn't I? I can't be perfect. It's Friday, and for me, it's Friday after Thanksgiving, which is why I'm wearing the hunting gear
right.
because up where I live, hunting
Yeah,
is a thing that kicks
but
off.
watching the trailer without the sound also had its own appeal.
Yeah. Okay. And then after that, I mean, you look at those numbers; it's pretty phenomenal. Last week's live stream has been seen 8,500 times. The video itself has been seen 350,000 times, and our X account has now got 200,000 followers, and that's up almost 100,000 from last
Yeah.
week. So it's been crazy good for us in the community expansion side.
And apparently, we were record breaking by our marketing partner. So they're a top tier marketing agency doing the similar marketing tactics, quests, bounties, collabs, goals, everything, the full stack. But we're their record breaking client. We also
Yeah.
asked them, okay, what's the reason that we achieved this? Like, why do we deserve this? And they said, yeah, it's probably just the market fit, right? So the communications you're doing readily, is readily getting accepted by the broader DePIN or crypto community. So that's really, interesting and.
Yeah, we've said this for a while what we're building is pretty easy to grok, right? Once you kind of understand, because cloud gaming, everyone kind of understands what that is already. People who are looking at DeepIns know that they're making money from their equipment at home. So combine those two things and seeing, the largest entertainment industry being tapped for DeepIn and done well and actually functioning, I think that's kind of one of the big things too. Like you can go to the YOM website and play the MVR game or play on the other experiences and see them streaming with low latency from some node off in the world. It's easy to do, right? You go to stats.yum.net, pull up the map, look for the green dot that's closest to you, and then play the game and watch that dot close to you change from 0 to 1 or from 1 to 2 sessions, right? You can see the session being played off that node in somebody's house, which is pretty damn cool.
Every time I try it again, especially on the Telegram, because on Telegram you can clearly see, okay, yeah, the the impact that you can make with the technology. It's just mind blowing, right? So you try the Jungle experience, AAA quality, right in your Telegram client on your mobile phone on desktop, pretty
Yeah.
solid connect, and obviously cloud gaming already exists, but then the realization that this is actually just running on some guy in on his gamer PC nearby, and this person is getting paid end to end, all on chain, all automated. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just mind blowing.
Yeah, and again, I think that's why we broke the records for their marketing efforts. Just because, again, it's pretty easy to see and it's pretty exciting because a lot of people want to get involved in the gaming world. They want to earn passive income. They've got a gaming rig, or they know somebody who does. Or if they don't, they want to be able to play these AAA quality games on their phones or their small laptops. So all that
Yeah.
stuff kind of works towards a really good, not just story, but actual change to the industry, which I keep
Yeah,
on
and I
saying.
remember so I had a call with the render team. This was what was it, 3 years ago. Render was pretty small back then, and I asked them, okay, are you guys taking on the real time 3D graphics challenge? And they said, well, no, that's too difficult at this point. So we're just doing rendering and workloads, and they also said, yeah, they need particular workstation GPUs for that to handle, or enterprise grade AI kind of solutions. So for us, that was the gate that got unlocked. That we knew, okay, yeah, we now have to build this ourselves, because
Right.
in the initial phase, we actually wanted to develop on render, and lots of people don't know that, but we wanted to basically be the value add middleware solution on top of the render ecosystem. But renders basically told us, yeah, real time is not possible. So now we built the entire real time infra stack. So now with the infra and the middleware finalized.
So we built what they said was impossible.
Yeah, basically. Well, they said it's impossible on their network. They didn't say
Right.
it's
Right.
theoretically impossible, but yeah.
No, but and then we had other competitors in the field too who were trying to do a decentralized AI and gaming at the same time, and we consistently said they're not going to do that because AI is going to be easier, and they're going to find out the gaming is very hard, and if they try to split their focus, they won't be able to. And if we stayed focused on gaming, because we had the opportunity to also kind of dip our toe into the AI world. Everyone was saying, "Well, throw AI in your pitch, and it'll be more attractive to certain people in the investor space." And we said no, because we know that that's going to fracture our focus, and we know that the lane that we're trying to build in is difficult enough, and we're the sole people who are actually building in it. So
Right.
we stayed focused on it. I mean, so
100%, 100%. I see in the chat GTA 6 on YOM. Well, last week we did meet I personally hang out with the CEO of 2K Interactive for about 3 hours, and he was very interested in what we were doing. Ex-CEO, so he built all of the Grand Theft Auto games up to, I believe, GTA 4. Then he left. Okay. Now he's building his own startup next to that. So I can just freely talk about this. It's a music game engine, but we're open to exploring. Okay, are there any partnership opportunities there? This doesn't directly answer your question on GTA 6 on YOM, obviously, but I mean, we're very tied into the broader ecosystem, and we know basically all of the publishers out there.
Yeah. And again, we don't. So people are saying, "Wow, how big did the network have to be to take all the GTA 6 players onto the network?" And that's not really that's not the right way to think of it. We don't have to host every player on who's playing GTA 6 on our network. We can host the ones who don't have a BGP, they don't have a big gaming rig at home, or people who are on the go. But then there's still going to be people who are downloading and installing it. There's still going to be people who are playing it, from or getting it from Steam. So we don't have to have the entire audience on our network. That would be great at some point someday to be as robust as that. But don't feel like you shouldn't look at our network and go, well, they don't have that many nodes to host the entirety of the gameplay market. We don't need that. That's not the gate to our success. Where our success could be posting a small portion, or even just a sample of a game like GTA.
And also, if you look at so we're infrastructure, right? So we're in EAS. We are integrating with platforms. That means that we won't be featuring a D2C, a direct-to-consumer aggregator platform a la Netflix, but instead we will be providing solutions for these platforms. Right? What does that mean? That means those platforms, they're generally just assessing, okay, what are all of the different infrastructure capabilities that we can use, and which ones are the cheapest, which ones are the most performant, right? It's as simple as that. And if you beat the benchmarks, you can get all of these OTT platforms in. OTT means streaming platforms, right? A lot of regional ones as well. There's so many services out there that we could integrate with. But let's see. We also need to, of course, onboard the publishers at the same time, because we have the instant play feature, which is a very quick hack for a lot of publishers to get to onboard a lot of gamers on their network. Right. As you've seen also with the Martians versus Roughnecks demo got deployed on Steam or Epic, I don't know. But at least they had a very tough time getting users in, and then deployed on YOM, and basically all of their user base is coming from our network. So it's a pretty fun realization.
Yeah. And I still haven't beaten your own score. He got to wave 5 and I have not yet. And it's kind of still sitting in my craw. But it was Thanksgiving yesterday. I couldn't break away to play games without my wife waving her finger.
You could send it to your nephew, to all of the kids around.
Yeah. Well, my son does play. He keeps on saying that my score is lame and he could totally beat it, but then he hasn't gotten on and played yet because he's afraid he's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, so you're talking about all the different different aspects of what our network is. We did just drop the tech article about an hour ago. It's onto Medium. It's got links in all of our socials. So if you want to kind of get a good insight into the journey that the tech team took and the steps that we took in the past 2 years to get us to where we are today, that article I think does a really good job. Our CTO wrote it, and we did some tweaking to it, but basically it's the tech team's words about, like, here's all the trials we went through, from the first test to the first node to the first version of the alpha network to the now where we are now. And then a little bit of what everything's going to change as soon as we get the universal pixel streamer up and live, and how that massively increases the amount of games we can bring in. So that article is on our Medium page and linked in all of our socials. Totally worth reading.
Yeah. We could go quickly into the roadmap, or do you want to just go to the community questions? What do you want to do?
Well, I want to touch on this. This is the really fascinating part of all of this is we if you saw on the timer, right, we exploded up in viewers. We now have 200,000 followers on X, as I said, which is almost 100,000 more than we had last week. And we did it at a time where we had to break some of the most maybe not disappointing, but well, perhaps disappointing to some people. We had some big news, right? We moved our TGE date from the 9th of December into Q1 of next year. And again, as soon as we can do it, when window that opens up best for us, we'll take it. Because the market just went so sour here in the last couple of days. And not so much that the price of Bitcoin dropped, but the sentiment got down super low, like 13 on a scale of 100 for fear and greed. And that's just, no one's buying anything in that market. And we don't want to launch into a market that's just so scared. Not because our project needs our token to rocket off. Actually, what we keep on talking about internally is we want our token to kind of stay steady growth, because anything that's any hot peaks and valleys kind of it makes it look unstable or too volatile for people to buy into what our concept is. But 13 is just too low, and that's just not wise. We had every one of our investors and advisors tell us, don't do this. If you wait 6 weeks, wait 8 weeks, you're going to do yourself a huge favor. Even if Bitcoin doesn't come up, it stays at 82, but the sentiment is somewhere around 30 or so, then you should be okay. Do you want to add to any of that?
Well, yeah, it's also, we didn't take the decision in a lighthearted way, right? Because we realized that our marketing team has been they had particular strategy of making this date like the date that wouldn't get changed, right? And that was basically a response to the last time that we changed it because of Avalanche Foundation backing us.
Right.
So yeah, there was on our side some communication error that we should have been clearer in, and we should have put some nuance in that. Yes, everything, our operations, our marketing, everything is centered towards the 9th of December TGE, and you can also see that, right? So you see, so people who monitor the project, they saw an IDO with TrustSwap getting launched the 27th of November. They saw all of the community marketing going strong, new trailers getting released. So everything was indeed focused on the 9th of December. But then our investors started indeed talking to us, and they said, guys, you really have to move, and you have to protect our assets. You have to move to Q1. You have to move to January, February, Q1, because the market sentiment is so bearish right now. It would just be a waste of the opportunity to get launched, and we have to respect that, right? So we have there are significant investors. They have an equity stake into the company as well. So we treat them as our partners, and we got the same response also from our market makers. So that was quite a stressful event where we were like a few days in before the IDO TrustSwap race, where we had to make the very tough decision to do what's the most responsible thing to do, which is making the hard decision to move the TGE that we so adamantly communicated to be on the 9th of December.
So and to be fair, so when you guys came to us and said this is advice we're getting, I was one of the ones who was as stride as I think anybody in our community was about, no, we've said the 9th, we've got to keep the 9th. What are you doing? This is hugely damaging to us, and it's going to really sour some people in the community. And basically, it was going to sour me. I was speaking for myself and saying, listen, I get upset because my face is up on the screen oftentimes, and people look at me as I kind of want to continue to be the face that people can trust, and this is going to completely erode my trust, or it's going to greatly damage the trust people have in me and us, but I'm selfish in that way and thinking only of myself. But so we talked about, we must have been on the call. That call probably lasted over 2 hours. With you guys going through and making the points and giving us the data and showing us, what you were seeing. And every time, so it's funny because I can look now at the community chats and see every argument that the community is making, I made in that 2-hour meeting about every argument.
Yeah, because I think fundamentally it's indeed about trust. It's not about anything. It's not really about, okay, whether to move the TGE 1 month or not. That it's not really about that, right? Like 1 month, okay, what's 1 month? Lots of people waited for a very long time already, right? The additional month. But it's really about, okay, us saying something and then changing basically the course, changing the direction based on whatever reason, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
the upside of all this was we've got some, during all the heated back and forth between the major community and some other communities that we're in, they provided us with some feedback that I think was absolutely actionable. Like we said, a lot of it was, hey, you got to show us more. Like, what's the order of operation? When we talk about, they'd like to have this, this, and this, and we're like, well, wait a minute. If we do some of those things, it pulls us away from our feature set for the network itself. Like it takes away from the technology we're building to show you everything else that we want to show everybody, or to give the kind of transparency that they're asking for. But there was a middle ground that we kind of struck, and some of that, it should be up. I don't know how fast. Jeroen put up that concept of having the top 6, I think it was, or maybe it was 8 features that the tech team is working on, and the order that they're working on them. Basically the priority order that they're in, and having that up as instead of a roadmap that says we're going to hit this, and this. You should be able to see our task list and watch it change if it does change, but then see what the order we're working on is, have that public. And I think that's a simple step that could be really.
So that's indeed the thing. We're a small team. Everyone is infrastructure. Everyone has an infrastructure profile, has clear accountability. So by building tooling for transparency's sake, that is. And by the way, that is very important to do. But the question is, okay, when has it priority, right? So you could argue like these things need to be implemented the moment the network is on mainnet, right? When it's on mainnet, you need to start building as much transparency around that as possible. We're also DePIN. We're not a chain yet, right? So we're moving, obviously, at some point to a subnet, to a layer 1 on Avalanche. That means that the nodes would also be validating the entire ecosystem. That may warrant more transparency on specific on-chain metrics. But up to that point, all of our metrics are catered towards sessions and nodes and compute. CCU is a very important metric for us. That basically is a metric that explains the depth of the amount of players that can be played on the network in its entirety. So we want to prioritize those metrics first and create transparency around those metrics so people can see, okay, what's the actual performance, how many YOM are getting burnt, and then as we are building that, we will also build other tooling for transparency's sake, like indeed as Jeroen suggested, insight into the product roadmap and lots of other things. Maybe a governance, maybe a DAO structure. The last couple of days, we've received a lot of support from core members in the community that also created a group, special group, where they are basically. So these are the biggest token holders out there, right? So
they didn't start out happy. Yeah, I mean, no.
Happy, but
they were where I was, right? And then the argument, the discussion that we had with them, right? The back and forth and the feedback and the it was important for us to get their understanding in our heads so that we can find out what is the actual right way to do things. And again, I think through that conversation, we come up with some really smart solutions.
Yeah, but they have also been working really hard to come up with solutions, right? So if you see the intensity, exactly. So it's mostly them actually coming up with different ways forward, solutions. They have a little bit more. So some of them also sign an NDA with us, so they have a little bit more insight on what's going on. So they're able to navigate, let's say, the ambiguity that we're dealing with, because, and I explained it also in the community, we know all of the information and we cannot publicly announce that, right? So there's always going to be this barrier between, okay, the public and what's publicly available and the information that we are working on, the projects and the stuff that we are working on the background that we can cannot we can't disclose that.
We've signed, we've signed agreements with certain partners that says you can't say anything until we're ready to say something, right? I mean, that's just the way that some businesses work, and it makes sense. I think even for ourselves, if we got a marketing strategy going, for example, we wouldn't want somebody else to leak that strategy before we're actually timing everything off. And if we're doing a series of marketing efforts, we want to time them correctly. So,
right.
Man, it has been a really interesting week, and this all happening during Thanksgiving week for me, where I've got family who are here, some of them are invested in YOM as well, and I've got to walk them through while eating turkey dinner.
So maybe let's go back to the roadmap, and because I think that's super interesting. We just published it. Rowan wrote it. And I think, there are just some great points on there. Right now, the experiences that are being played on the website and in the Telegram app, it's still running on an older pixel streamer solution that we've built basically 2 years ago. So it's using older technology. It's based on a WebRTC middleware. It uses an inside-out streaming protocol. So it's compulsory, it's mandatory to configure an SDK inside of the game, and then you need to build it, right? So there was some additional workload for devs to get it implemented. But in the meantime, we've basically developed a completely proprietary, different outside-in solution, which means that we can now pixel stream anything, right? So any binary without any requirement of any SDK. That means if you have a mobile game, if you have anything that needs to use a gaming machine under the hood, you can just deploy that on the network. And so that's a big advantage to devs, because they don't have to think about different SDKs, different game engines. Now we still will use the game engine because they provide additional features on top, right? Like easy flagging. Okay, which device is the player on? What is the browser they're using? What about web widgets, communications back and forth with web widgets, scoreboards? All of these things we facilitate via the SDK. They can be manually implemented as well via any proprietary engine, but that's really up to the developer. Now, this is on the pixel streaming, the cloud gaming side, the dev side. So let's keep that short, because the most people here are actually here for the crypto and maybe playing some games. So what the other part that the universal pixel streamer also does is it reduces latency significantly. So all of the playtests that I've personally had, it feels as seamless as native. So this is like real state-of-the-art middleware we've built. And now if we tie that in with the DePIN under the hood, where the latency is already less because the nodes are nearby. Obviously, it depends on the scale of the network. We're still tiny, so there are only, 20 regions, 20 nodes covered. But the more scale we achieve in combination with the middleware, the lower the latency, the better the experience, the more native it feels. And also it's a 10x cost efficiency gain versus all of the heavyweight, capex intensive data centers out there, right? What do I mean with capex intensive? That means for every gamer that they need to support, they have to build more racks, they have to build cooling, they have to move their data centers to the masts. So you have all of those mini data centers everywhere. Inventory needs to be replaced every so many years. It's a massive undertaking, and that all gets trickled down to the developer.
Yeah, let me do that real quick. Highlight a high level overview of what YOM is for people who are just coming in for the first time, because there could be a fair amount of them, right? So what YOM is a decentralized, and I usually do this at the beginning. I apologize for not doing it earlier. But as Jort's saying, right, we have a decentralized network that allows you to put your gaming rig onto our network, and we use the hardware, not your hard drive, because we don't have you install any software on your hard drive. We send you an SSD it's a bootable drive with our own product on there. So you boot off that drive when you're not using your gaming rig, and that puts your gaming rig on our network. We borrow your GPU and some RAM, that kind of thing, to stream games to people who are close by to you. And then we pay you for the amount of, every time you run a session, we log it, and then we pay you in YOM for running that session to the end user. What that means is we don't have to build big data centers, which right now the cost for building those data centers is just going up and up, and the environmental impacts is huge. And there's a lot of problems with having big data centers around the world, the way that they're really casting them out. But I think the thinking now with AI using those data centers, they're just not going to be able to build enough of them. So, so we don't have those costs of building and then maintaining them, running the AC, like you're saying. It's all being done by people in their homes. And when they upgrade their PC because they want a better graphics card when they're playing games, our network gets improved as well. It doesn't cost us anything to improve the network that way. They may just be able to stream more streams at the same time because your gaming computer can stream based on the amount of on your GPU and your upload speed. So anywhere from 2 to 6 to 8 streams, depending on what your GPU is. And we have built the rig check app that can show you what you're doing. Anyways, all those savings go on to the game developers. The game developers now can use a cloud service super cheap. The second part that's super important is we don't have a gate that they can post their games on any URL or inside of Telegram or inside of Discord. So for gaming studios, and that's what my background is from the gaming side, it's very difficult to find new users. And what you're trying to do is make it as easy, as frictionless as possible to have someone play your game. And the most frictionless way to play really is just I sent you a link and you're playing. There's no download, no install, no upgrades
and
for
the
your
big thing is
driver.
so YOM is a protocol, but we also realize just looking at validators out there with other chains, it's usually a very technical solution, right? If you want to scale cloud gaming, you like we cannot limit ourselves to 2,000 technical validators getting spun up globally by some miners or some, right? We need to make it a mass adoption product. That means that all of our tooling is web app based, right? That means, okay, you can just go to the web app, you can run the diagnostics, it will do everything on your computer, and in the web app it will show you everything else, so you don't have to be a tech wizard to run all of these commands on your computer to get it installed, or install Linux, even worse. So that's the rationale of why we've gone the way we've gone with the Nano, which is basically a bootable disk that you can just plug into your PC that has 1 terabyte of cache, what is effectively cache, plus the entire operating system and Linux already pre-installed, right? Just to save the time on the onboarding and save the investment into a new hard drive, right? Which you then have to plug into your PC. So we say, okay, everything is plug and play. Everything is very easy to just use from the get-go. And the cherry on top is we can then put all of these products in web shops, right? So right now we have recently listed the product on Fresh Miners. It's a web shop. You can go there. You can actually pre-purchase the Nano, and we do recommend you to run the rig check first, just to see, okay, are you able to run it? And if you are, you can make a shit ton of money using that SSD device, which in a lot of parts of the world can really make a very strong difference.
Yeah, and so part of the increase that we're seeing is from places that really would benefit from being able to play AAA quality games on their phones or on their smaller end devices because they don't have access as readily to large gaming rigs. So I see, what we're doing is I think really serving. I talk about all the time that the gaming industry really needs help getting games to more players or expanding the player base. And I really truly believe what we're building is going to do that for the gaming industry. And I think that's been played out because of all the contracts we've recently signed.
And it's the end game. I mean, like you cannot literally go cheaper and more performant than a decentralized network for cloud compute, right? Yeah. Any other attempt, and we see the attempts emerging from some of our competitors, like Radiant Arc, for example, that they try to get indeed the GPUs in the masts, right? And they resell the masts. There's this federated kind of top-down control structure to get cloud gaming to work at low latency. And it's in a way amusing in like all of the efforts and all of the billions of dollars that are put into making this work, right? And that gives an impression of the size of the market and the size of the opportunity. Whereas we just simply say, yeah, why do all of this if you can just recycle and reuse all of the gaming rigs that are already out there, right? Why building this whole top-down mast structure, this federated data center? Yeah, it's crazy.
The idea that if we just build it bigger and put in more expensive machines, will solve the problem, but that doesn't really work with physics. Distance becomes one, and again, the cost issue just becomes it's going to become insurmountable. And then again, competing for AI in there also trying to compete for the cycles that gaming studios might be competing for. So
Yeah, and by the way, every architecture has its cons and pros, right? So running a decentralized architecture also means like different sort of overhead, right? Right now, you can see that we have a community. We need to build a community. We need to build the tooling around that. We need to. So there are different costs, but these are all protocol investments. That means that there are investments in the tooling, which is a one-time investment that you make, and then you can just scale up from there, right? Whereas with centers, if you want to scale up, you need to continuously restock your inventory. You need to continuously invest in locations and real estate over the world to expand. So I think that's the key difference.
So we are getting some questions inside the chat, and we could hit some of these questions. Let me scroll up a little bit. Have you changed the TGE, and will you still pay? I'm not sure I understand that question. Or what's the point of this is a good question. What's the point of the TGE? So you want to talk a little bit more about the use of the token and why we have a token in our ecosystem at all?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the token fundamentally is the fuel, right? So it's the oil that powers the network. And I'm saying oil and fuel with a reason, because it gets scarcer over time, right? So it gets used up by the network. And because it gets used up, it becomes more valuable over time. It's also, its price should be a function of the usage of the network. Reality has it that prices get front run. Traders come in, investors come in, people buy in, etc. That's all fine, because markets in the end,
call it what they are. Some of them are speculators.
Speculators, but markets will find an equilibrium, right? So the more network usage that we built on the network, the more front runners we will get, the more traders we will get. In fact, we also expect that bots will at some point exist that will just monitor, okay, new game releases or patches, because they know, okay, buy pressure will happen when a game of particular size is patching its game on the network and people start playing, right? Because then buy pressure suddenly increases.
It is interesting. So for people who are coming in for the first time, we have a cap supply of tokens. And again, we purchase those tokens when a game studio wants to get on the network. They pay in fiat, and we buy tokens off the market to take them out of the circulation, and then use those tokens to pay the node operators as they stream through their client, through their host, those games. But we also burn a small percentage, like 5% of what gets awarded to the node operators. We also burn. So we have a cap supply, and we're constantly diminishing the amount of available to purchase back off the market the next time another publisher comes and wants to get time on the network. Yeah. So the more network time they have, that means the more rewards going out. That means the more that gets burned, and the faster it decreases in availability. Which again, that whole loop, the deflationary loop that we use for our token, is what powers some of the speculative value. But again, this is not financial advice. We think this model works very well for us, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your region is going to have a lot of games being played there, or if there's as you're saying, if there's an increasing amount of games all of a sudden traffic, we've got to take a look at that 5%, and maybe at a certain point when the volumes get very thin, maybe there's an adjustment in 5 years, 10 years down the road that we have to make. But that's the way the system is already scheduled to happen.
Yeah. Maybe the last question, give us ready rig setups. That's an interesting one. We've explored that. There are indeed rig setups that are very efficient in doing all of the work. However, it also changes rapidly, right? So new modules, new video cards, new processors, new RAM, etc., is constantly evolving. So for us to manually track, okay, what is the best possible? Oh, we could actually publish that at some point when we have the data available on the network. We could actually, because we collect all of the telemetry, we could publish which configurations would result in the highest possible yield. So people can, if they want to, they can purchase that particular configuration at any local store. If you look at the approach that Steam has taken, so Steam is now selling what is effectively game PCs, but then with their Steam OS on top, which looks in a way very similar to what we are doing, because our operating system is also running on Ubuntu, also Linux based, has a similar middleware as Steam. So it will be interesting if we at some point start competing with Steam on the decentralized cloud infrastructure part. But who
Steam
knows?
has had, if I remember correctly, I think Steam has had a few rough starts with their hardware offerings. They've seemed to get very excited about some hardware, and then it just kind of doesn't do as well as they expect, and they
I
eventually
think what
abandon.
Steam wants is what we are doing, right? So they want to evolve towards. They do have the pixel streaming already, but only locally, right? So if you have your computer somewhere at home, you can stream that to your television. So the technology is there. They also have their the Steam device. What's it called?
Steam Deck.
Oh yeah, Steam Deck. It has its own operating system, similar middleware. They have some patents on that. And has also pixel streaming in there, so you can actually also connect that to your Steam account. Now they have this box out there, right? That they're selling with their own operating system, Linux. So it's getting pretty close. It's getting pretty close. So who knows? Who knows? But we'll see. I don't think Steam will pull off a crypto token. It will be too tricky for them to pull that off. They're a massive company. They're earning their revenues last year was, I believe, 11 billion, which is massive. It's massive. With 11 billion. I believe Nvidia had 36 last year. I don't know. Yeah. So Steam is not that far behind.
Let's see. People running points. I wonder. So I got this one fellow, MD Monair, has got a lot of questions, and I'm trying to track all of them.
So when TGE, we're centering end of January. We're like that. We're targeting that. So that is our current goal. But yeah, we also don't want to over communicate or make it extremely hard. So so for now Q1, but we're targeting end of January. But this will be also in alignment with our IDOs.
Right. And we're again taking in feedback from all quarters to decide which is the best date. The cement you're running has all points. When does it? Oh, I think you're talking about the all right. So the campaign that we're running right now, it sounds like he's asking about the campaign that where you're earning points for doing certain social tasks. That campaign's going to expand. We're really only about a week into it.
Honestly, we have not expected this amount of attraction. We just put the campaign live. A lot of details still need to be disclosed and determined. We have allocated a budget to this, and we've set up basically the platform. But honestly, the conversion ratio is really dependent also on the amount of traffic we're getting. Because in the end it's a leaderboard, so it's competitive. That means an X percentage will be able to unlock indeed tokens for TG.
Yeah. But it has been pretty phenomenal. The next challenges that we have coming out are going to be involved some of our partners, playing this game, getting to this level, winning an award from that game studio, and some from our own point system. So.
Some great questions in the chat. So is Steam aware of YOM? No, they're not aware of us. We have no connections with the Steam team. We have connections with Epic, with all of the publishers, but not with Steam for some reason. How far down the IP patent road are you? We have published. We have basically pushed 3 patents. We filed them 2 months ago. So they need about 12 months of defense. So other companies can now try to basically say, okay, yeah, we already developed this technology, and if they can prove it, then the patent becomes invalid. I don't expect that's going to happen. So we will need to wait another 10 months, 12 months before we know that. Something about the NAS. Yes. Cloud Backstop is extremely important for us, and the way we implement Cloud Backstop is in a decentralized fashion. Rather than us paying for the Cloud Backstop, we want indeed to provide the community via delegation of licenses to pay for the Cloud Backstop. But before we can do that, we first need the base network to be operating, because that's the base network. Cloud Backstop, how we can view it. We have a network covering the entire globe. When there is under supply in particular regions, we can scale up, we can spin up machines on the cloud to ensure that we can provide the capacity in a particular region. Now, for that, we are actually using cloud compute. So people without a machine of their own, they can delegate their license to a cloud provider. What does that mean? They pay a fixed amount of dollars on a monthly basis. They get all of the revenues in terms of YOM tokens, and the cloud instances that they have reserved will only spin up in the regions that are actually in demand. Now, there is a particular ratio that you need that is the most efficient between cloud backstop and the base network, because if you purely have a cloud delegated system, there's no benefit to it. But if you have a purely DePIN based network, then you cannot scale locally, right? Then you're locked into whatever the community organically provides in a particular region. So you need that combination. You need a base layer to get the prices down by 10x. And then the differences, the delta differences, the peaks, you want to cover via your NAS providers, via the cloud backstop. And as opposed to us paying for it, we want that to be running entirely in a decentralized fashion.
Right. So not only do we not pay, we also don't get the rewards from that, or we split the rewards anyways for the people who are.
The rewards are going back to the community. So it's like, okay, entirely on the protocol, and we're able to scale up in every region globally. Next one, where are we?
What actions do you take to punish someone who cheats? We ban them. It's as simple as that. Like, we ban them, and we probably would give them the rewards.
Cheating in terms of node operators, or cheating?
I think that's it. I think he's talking about the campaign, like cheating in the.
Oh yeah, we ban them. We have we have been attacked indeed by some people, but we can very easily spot that they are coming in from the same IP address. So yeah, they will all be filtered out. That's fine. Okay, so regions for NAS are not able to be selected by owner, driven by demand.
I think what it is asking. So if you live in the UK and you've bought a NAS license, you don't have to register it in the UK. You can register it with a provider out in Asia if you feel like there's more value to you to put out there.
Right, and it's also the data centers will be optimizing for the network, right? Because they want to provide the highest yield to you as a potential purchaser of their cloud compute, meaning that if you send money to them, if you send USD to them, they will want to make you as happy as possible. So they will automatically move. Well, they may, it really depends on the cloud provider, move their GPU resources to regions that are with a high yield in payout.
We even talked about the idea that you want to kind of move your node to where the day-night cycle is, because more people are gaming from a certain, in a certain block of hours, from like say 4 p.m. to midnight. Yeah. And as soon as it hits, past midnight, the gamers in that region are going to be dropping off. So you want to be able to move your node to another region to cover that time of day. Now that's going to be partly on the NAS provider themselves to help us make that happen, but that is certainly something that we also consider.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was the end of the questions that showed up here. So, anything we didn't cover from the conversation we've had within the community group, leading up to today's today's town hall. I think we covered a good amount of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Feels good. All right. Well, we like to keep these about 45 minutes any longer anyways. It just seems like it's a good amount for the algorithm, so people get to watch it. But again, 8,500 views last week, from last week to today. We'll see what this video does and see if we get similar kind of interest. But it's been a tremendous week for us in community building. It's been, a good, challenging week, making sure that, again, that we stay with our core belief that being transparent and being communicative with the community as much as we can, so long as it doesn't distract us from getting the network built, we should continue to do as much as we possibly can. Yeah. Thank you, York.
So happy Thanksgiving. That's what they
Thank
say,
you.
right, in the States.
Yep. I've got a plate of leftovers waiting for me. It's going to be turkey and cranberry sauce and stuffing. You can't even believe how much food my wife made for this, and it's just all getting leftovers, right?
So put the pictures on Twitter.
I know. You know what? We didn't take hardly any pictures yesterday,
Yeah.
but I will. I'll take some pictures today. My leftover plate.
You're
Yeah.
okay,
All
great.
right.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll talk again